Well, good morning, everyone. Certainly thank everyone for joining us today. I'm Zach Klein, the council president here at City Hall. And off the top, even though we're here for the budget press conference, I do want to acknowledge more national events that have transpired over the past 72 to 96 hours out of Washington, D.C., and the executive orders issued by President Trump, and reiterate a statement that I had made and then of course amended as new executive orders came out that concluded with, Columbus policies should always continue to support a community where all residents and visitors feel welcome and safe. And I think tonight Councilmember Elizabeth Brown will be bringing a resolution from the floor condemning the executive orders for what they are, and that's un-American and designed to further divide us as a nation, all of which actually undermine safety. But today, we're here to talk about the budget and council's amendment to the budget. And frankly, I think this is good timing given the executive orders, because our budget themes are going to focus on quality of life for everyone in the city of Columbus, regardless of the walk of life that you come from or where you're born, and how we're going to collectively, through city council initiatives and partnerships with Mayor Ginther and all of his departments that he oversees, work together to make sure our initiatives piggyback on his neighborhood focus and improve the quality of life for all residents. So I'd like to turn it over to our fiscal steward in this, and that is the President Pro Tem Priscilla Tyson, who is the Finance Chair. President Pro Tem Tyson.
Good morning, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, President Klein, and I would certainly like to thank my City Council colleagues for all the hard work that they've put in regarding the 2017 budget. So last November, the mayor proposed an operating budget in the amount of $869 million. In late December, council was informed by the auditor that his initial projections were exceeded, and we will now have $3.2 million to amend in this budget. That will bring the 2017 budget to $872,700,000. As chair of the Finance Committee, I work diligently along with the council, the administration, and the auditor to ensure that we are wisely utilizing our resources. And that is why, as a council, we will amend the mayor's budget by adding another $500,000 into the rainy day fund. The mayor has already put in $2.2 million to the fund, so the council's investment will bring the projected 2017 year-end balance to $73 million. We will also deposit $250,000 into the Basic Services Fund, which is a fund we only use if a need arises. The administration is depositing $1.5 million into the fund, so the additional $250,000 will bring the projected year-end balance to $5.1 million. So the $2.3 million will be transferred, the additional dollars will be transferred into the council's initiative funds: the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund, the Job Growth Fund, and the Public Safety Initiatives Fund. Council will be utilizing the funds to prioritize the spending of resources during the year. We will continue to identify issues in our city. Through collaboration and investment, we will be working to improve safety, focus on economic development, and neighborhood health, as well as the quality of life for everyone. As I consider issues to be addressed in the city, I'm committed to a supporting initiative that again focuses on the quality of life for all residents. For example, one of the areas I will focus on is the comprehensive city and council food plan that I jointly sponsored and was formally adopted by this council last year. And so in 2017, we will be implementing a food plan that will, of course, enhance the coordination and communication among existing food resources, improve access to food and education about food, affordable food, and local food. We will also focus on preventing waste and increasing the role of food in economic development. Additionally, I want to focus on jobs and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to be able to have meaningful employment. And also homelessness and affordable housing, something that I know all our council members are focused on affordable housing, but more in particular, Councilmember Jaiza Page. It's critical in regards to us ending homelessness. I also will support health initiatives, and so things that especially deal with the disparities amongst people of color in our community. I also want to mention a couple of the initiatives that are in the mayor's budget, that we're so happy they're in his budget, that focus on areas that are within the committees in which I chair. One, social services. $5 million will continue to be funded in social service agencies. Also, in terms of homelessness and homelessness prevention, $6.3 million will go to the Community Shelter Board. Also, additionally, the mayor has added money to support pregnant women, non-VA eligible veterans, and also our proactive street outreach program. And lastly, I'm excited that there will be a part-time epidemiologist in public health, which will help us to study and establish local violence-related public health data so that we can better understand violence in our community, especially around gun violence. I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues to pass this budget. Tomorrow, which is Tuesday, the 31st, at 5 p.m., the Finance Committee will hold a hearing on the 2017 operating budget. The hearing will provide an opportunity for residents to come out and speak on the proposed budget. Our goal is to hold a vote for passage of this legislation at the council meeting on February the 6th. And now I would like to introduce my colleague, Elizabeth Brown.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Tyson, and thank you, President Klein, to both of you for your leadership on this budget. I am excited to continue to gain community feedback on the budget and champion a few priorities that are within my committees that are very important to all of us. Funds dedicated to training pre-K teachers, which is one of the smartest economic development investments that we can make as a community, in addition to job growth and investment in good-paying jobs. But today I wanted to focus on one of my priorities that particularly relates to making sure all of our residents and visitors in the city of Columbus feel safe. President Trump's executive orders over the last week will tear apart families. They will tear apart families of both asylum seekers at our borders and those already in our country. This includes countless families with U.S. citizen family members. Family separation traumatizes families, it impacts their ability to fight their immigration case, and can make it impossible to ever reunite with a child or a loved one. It's important to remember that this also places an immense burden on local and state child welfare systems. It's important for us to remember the contributions that immigrants and refugees make to our community right here in Columbus as well. Immigrants and refugees are valuable contributors to our local economy. They provide $2 billion in spending power, $258 million in state and local taxes, including income, property, sales, and excise taxes. They make up a significant portion of our population, 10% in fact. Yet they are facing new challenges coming out of the federal level. And that is why I am committed to providing a legal defense fund for the threats that immigrants and refugees currently face. There are members of our community here legally under DACA. We don't know what will happen with DACA, considering the promises that President Trump has made. And it is important for members of our community to know that they have the legal assistance they may need to fight to remain in the United States with their families. Additionally, refugee populations are facing another level of threat in terms of filing for family reunification and in terms of potential potential review of their legal status to be in this country. So we are committed to partnering with other people in the community, the civic sector, and other levels of government to make sure that our refugee and immigrant populations have the resources they need in the courts to defend their status and to defend their way of life and their unification with their families. Thank you so much.
from one Brown to another. I'm pleased to share with you the amendments I proposed for the 2017 budget. With one of the city's initiatives being community safety, my first amendment will be to support and expand the police bike patrol. Increasing the number of bike patrol officers in the community will encourage more direct and non-adversarial interactions with the community and our law enforcement officers. The City of Columbus currently has more than 100 homeless veterans. I'll be working with my colleagues, the Community Shelter Board, and various community agencies in a collaborative effort to decrease homelessness for the veterans in the City of Columbus. I'm grateful to my colleagues for their continued partnership, and I look forward to moving forward with the budgetary process. I'd like to thank President Klein for his leadership and President Pro Tem Tyson as the chair of the Finance Committee for her dedication and her guidance in working through the budgetary process. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you Councilmember Shannon Hardin.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Thank you, President Klein, and certainly to our chair, President Pro Tem Tyson, for shepherding us through this budget season. Your insight and your guidance has truly been helpful as we put forward this 2017 budget. The amendments that we are putting forth today are part of a whole of amendments that we will engage with or add to the budget going forward. Today I'm talking specifically about one of my priorities, which is around young boys of color. Columbus is a great place to live, work, and to raise a family. However, young boys of color still face substantial barriers to success. I'm proud to have Mayor Ginther as a partner as we continue to push the My Brother's Keeper initiative forward. As part of our initial MBK work, we met with over 500 boys of color and asked them what they needed to succeed. They told us they needed jobs, mentorship, and safe communities. Now, there is no silver bullet for the barriers facing young people. It will require everyone putting some skin in the game. That's why I will continue to bring partners to the table, set goals, invest in evidence-based work, and measure our collective progress to bridge the opportunity gaps between young men of color and the community at large. Additionally, we have brought staff on board to focus full-time on MBK. The newly created Department of Neighborhood houses the day-to-day operations of the city's MBK work, and Director Carla Williams Scott has been unwavering in her support. When young boys of color succeed, all of Columbus succeeds. I'm grateful to have the support of my colleagues as we do this important work. With that, I'd like to introduce my friend and my colleague, Councilmember Jiza Page.
Thank you, Councilmember Hardin. It's always a pleasure to follow my friend. And again, I echo the sentiments of all my colleagues and thank President Klein and President Pro Tem Tyson for your leadership as we go throughout the budget process. And I'm grateful to all of my colleagues for their partnerships to collectively address the needs of our citizens. As we begin to make amendments for the budget, I would like to briefly discuss one of my top priorities, which are neighborhoods, and raising the standard and the quality of life for all of our residents. As a chair of the Housing, Zoning, and Recreation and Parks Committees, it is my goal to continue to push for the revitalization, stabilization, and preservation of all of our neighborhoods. Last year, through our capital improvements budget, I created the Learning Skills to Lift Neighborhoods program, which focused on this issue, and we provided grants that promote workforce development training in the construction trades for youth and/or restored citizens, while also transforming vacant and blighted structures or lots into productive parcels. We also had the Parcels to Places program, which was a success last year as well. So this year, I want to do something a little different with my amendment, and I want to bring together a focus group of 10 residents. And any residents who are interested, please send your resume and a brief statement on why you would like to work with me as we figure out what our priorities should be for the city of Columbus. And my primary priority, again, will be raising the quality of life and standard for all of our residents. So please send your resume and a brief statement to Rolanda Hampton at rshampton@columbus.gov or Sherry Martin at simartin@columbus.gov so we can get together and work through this process and come up with a great program that will continue to lift the quality of life for all of our residents. Thank you, and I now would like to bring up my colleague and friend, Councilmember Stenziano.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Mitch. As chair of the Public Utilities, Technology, and Court Administration Committees, I look forward to continuing to work with Mayor Ginther and my council colleagues to build better neighborhoods by promoting inclusive communities, developing and implementing cost-saving infrastructure improvements, and ensuring economic opportunity for all Columbus residents. We have great opportunity and responsibility with this 2017 budget, and I do, as follow the lead of my colleagues, want to highlight a couple items. One is our region's population growth is expected to continue to grow, with 500,000 more people over the next 30 years expected, and this growth will largely include an age group of those 65 and older. From housing and transportation to employment inclusion, our city needs a comprehensive approach to capturing the needs of our aging citizens. It will be one of my priorities that older adult residents, regardless of race, language, or zip code, can remain in their neighborhoods and live a high quality of life independently. And I will work with the administration and Chair Tyson to make sure this need is reflected in our city's budget and future policies. Additionally, as Chair of Judiciary and Court Administration, I want to build on the success of our courts connecting with our neighborhoods. Columbus and Franklin County continue to be progressive leaders in restorative justice programming, and I am committing to continuing this programming by funding, with the support of Finance Chair Tyson, the Environmental Division of the Franklin County Municipal Court's Alternative Sentencing Program, which connects low-level criminals with community service and development tasks throughout our city, directly focused in neighborhoods. Through the Community Cleanup Crew program, offenders are held accountable for their actions in exchange for their service to clean up and beautify Columbus neighborhoods. To date, Judge Hawkins has had a program in the pilot stage, and in that pilot stage, 159 individuals have successfully completed community service requirements through the Environmental Court Program, having completed a combined 5,507 hours of work in neighborhoods across Columbus. At present, 76 individuals are scheduled to complete an additional 2,425 hours of community service through the first quarter of 2017. The funding that will be included in this budget will enhance that program for additional individuals and more hours in our neighborhoods. This program is a win-win for our courts in the city's many and diverse neighborhoods. As Columbus is a growing progressive city, our budget needs to reflect these priorities, and those priorities are our communities. With that, I'll turn it back over to President Klein.
Thank you, Councilmember Stenziano. I'd like just to highlight a few things that I'm going to be focusing on in this year's budget. And I think it's important to note, as you hear the sampling of what my colleagues have talked about, that it's just that. This is a sampling of our priorities. This is certainly not an exhaustive list of what's going to be done, and we're always in constant contact and communication with our friends on the East Wing to make sure programs that are currently in existence can be better, whether it is our Restoration Academy, which is a very successful program, how we can continue to make it better, or I see my friends from the People's Justice Project here, whether it's a conversation with them and the continued work to improve our Summer Safety Initiative, Community Safety Initiative. But three of the things that I'd like to talk about are I'm going to be receiving this in 2017, the results of our community research partner study on sex trafficking in the city of Columbus. And this study is going to identify gaps that we have as a community where all our resources are being directed. And my hope is to use this fund to figure out how we can plug those gaps so that we can help and lift up victims of crime who are the victims of human trafficking. Many of whom have, a vast majority of whom, have drug addictions, which leads me to my second point, and that is continuing to work with our specialty courts and with our not-for-profit partners in the community to identify how we can get people the treatment that they need in order to pull themselves out of addiction. We have done a terrific job of saving lives through our Narcan administration with both police and fire, but now it's time to change lives. In order to change lives, folks need to have the resources that they need so they can get the treatment to pull themselves out of addiction. Not everyone has $50,000 to send them to Phoenix, Arizona, or to San Diego to go to a private treatment facility. This is the real world, and we have to step up and make sure that those who have addiction have reasonable access, low-cost access, whether it's through Medicaid or through not-profit sectors, to get the treatment they need. And lastly, I'm going to be keeping an eye on what was another troubling announcement out of Washington, D.C., and that was the possibility that the President Trump's proposed budget could zero out all grant funding from the Violence Against Women's Act. That is significant funding that comes into all neighborhoods, all communities across the country, that prevents violence against women, and provides the training that are necessary for law enforcement personnel, for prosecutors across the country. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that and working with the city attorney's office to make sure that we have the funding in place so that domestic violence abusers are held accountable, women get the treatment that they need, and can pull themselves away from a very dangerous situation, and we can protect all families in the city of Columbus. I think Rick is the only member of the press here, which is cool, so instead of doing a back and forth on questions, we'll let Rick do one-on-ones. But I really appreciate everyone coming. And President Pro Tem Tyson, let me thank you again for your leadership and financial stewardship in getting council through the budget process. And we look forward to implementing these real-world solutions to the problems that face everybody in Columbus. Thank you.